Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sneak Peek Saturday. And this is where Julie is the videographer, and I am going to read the first page of a nonfiction book called Travels with George by Nathaniel Philbrick, who is a master historian, and he's an author of many nonfiction books. And Jane, our library director, uh, wants us to branch out of our comfort zone with what we're reading. And so I thought this would be a good occasion to
To
branch out.
Yep.
And not only me, but
Maybe
maybe
challenge some other people.
absolutely.
Yes. I
Julie.
read a lot of nonfiction, but you read mostly mysteries and thrillers.
Yes, I
Yes,
do.
so-
Yes, I do. So, but however, I have read books by Nathaniel Philbrick because I just love his writing.
Yes.
He's a factual person, and but he really delves into his subject, and this is really a really good book.
And his writing reads like a story because history is a story. History.
Dorothy, yes. Good point, Julie. So anyway, I think this is quite appropriate for this time of year, and and in this era of presidential people. I mean, both domestic and foreign. We're having this whole thing with Mr. Putin.
Yes.
But anyhow, I will start this first page, and it's called Loomings. It's a maxim among travel writers that you've got to go solo, that a companion diverts you from the object at hand, that loneliness is essential to opening yourself to the experience of the road. In Travels with Charlie, John Steinbeck insisted that two or more people disturb the ecologic complex of an area. I had to go alone. Except, of course, he wasn't alone. There was his French standard poodle, Charlie, a dog, particularly an exotic like Charlie, Steinbeck wrote, is the bond between strangers. Many conversations began with, "What degree of a dog is that?" Steinbeck also insisted that he must camp along the way, sleeping in Spartan quarters in the back of his pickup. I had to be self-contained, he wrote, a kind of casual turtle carrying his house on his back. But as he has since been revealed, Steinbeck was hardly the stickler or solitude he pretended to be. Despite his claims, he routinely traveled with his wife Elaine, rather than campgrounds. They stayed at hotels, some of them so swanky that a jacket was required at dinner. Instead of being appalled by these revelations, I was relieved because I didn't want to go it alone. After spending the majority of the last 2 decades holed up in my office, I had no interest in wandering the country aching with loneliness. I wanted my wife to come along, a former attorney. Melissa was about to retire from her second career as the executive director of a local nonprofit, and for 10 years she had been the center of the debate about how an island with a storied past should face the future. And now she was going to walk away from it all. Oh, so part of me worried that without her busy professional life, we'd have less to talk about. The other part of me was downright gleeful that for the first time in 35 years, she would be free from the demands of a full-time job, and it was time we took advantage of her newfound liberty and hit the road. A few months earlier, we had acquired a puppy named Dora, for the first wife of David Copperfield, the Dickens character, not the magician, who, like Steinbeck's Charlie, was something of an exotic. Melissa and I took out a map of the eastern seaboard and began to plot our prospective trip. So, Washington's travels could be divided into 5 different legs. His trip from Mount Vernon to his inauguration in New York, his month-long tour of New England, a 4-day tour of the western end of Long Island, and a sail from New York to Newport and Providence, once Rhode Island ratified the Constitution, and a 3-month tour of the South, soon after the nation's temporary capital moved to Philadelphia. Travels this is such a
It
good
sounds
book.
so good. Oh my goodness.
And so well written. Just that, I read more than the first page.
You know, I noticed that, Carolyn, but it was so good I didn't care.
I know.
It's like, keep going.
Yeah, I know. I had to get to a point where it would make sense.
Right.
And
right.
so sometimes the first page is, well, it's still a tempting first pager. So
yes.
please come and get this book because
sounds wonderful.
It is.
Yes.
This is a keeper.
And I love the cover with George Washington in the rearview mirror.
So that's it for this week. And so we'll see you next Tuesday on Tuesday.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you, Julie.
Bye.